going here as we do press into Extinction, a team that has maybe been slept on. We'll find out if they can prove themselves here against a storied team right now on Krakoa. First time we've had Krakoa, I think, this whole weekend.
Wow. Yeah, it will be the first time. And interesting enough, Millennia is going to get played. So yeah, right. It's going to be our first time gonna see this map, and it's honestly long overdue for us, Shib. I mean, this is one of the most beautiful maps in the game. Glad we get to see it besides the symbiotic hell of Celestial Husk, you know? So, thank God.
I think yesterday we actually got to see Terra. I mean, Terra obviously has a large hero pool, but typically don't see on certain heroes like Human Torch. And we saw Human Torch play from Terra yesterday, so that enables a new ban target, right? I know an incredibly strong duelist. We talked about potentially one of the best duelists in the entire game, who does a good job of clutching up in moments that he needs to, and having a more diverse pool like that makes the banning more difficult. So I'm sure that is a strategy they have been adapting here over time. But, you know, Bucky, an incredibly strong Bucky, and Bucky is in a great place right now.
Yeah, Bucky is in a good place. And, you know, I think this so far, by the way, Jeff removed. So 100 Thieves kind of doing a similar ban phase that we saw earlier. We get the Luna Invis Protect coming through, as Invis, you know, making sure that's one of the heroes that you could play is incredibly important in triple strategist comps, or even in 2-2 if you're forced to play it, right? So Human Torch ban with the very last ban out of 100 Thieves. That might be the first time we've seen the Human Torch ban, I think today, Shib. So not really a character touched as much, but it's the Adam Warlock Protect coming through on the opposite side to make sure they can play triple even without the Ultron Protect coming through. That's interesting for sure, as a Loki ban on the opposite side.
Yeah, I think the only time we saw the Torch ban was after we saw Speeder just absolutely dominate with Torch with the double pocket. I think it got banned after that, but you're right. Outside of that, not as much of a priority anymore at all, as we do see the team lineups coming through. The protects of Emma, Invis, Luna, and you got Adam over there from the side of 100 Thieves. So Emma is going to be on the table here for TTK, who is, for those who I'm sure do not know, but most of you do know, a controller player at the top level who is absolutely disgusting on things like Magneto and Emma. So we will have eyes there. Vinny, typically running things like Groot and Cap, a very strong Vanguard player as well. The entirety of that team has a ton of talent, and I can't wait to see how they match up on a team that I have, you know, is relatively new to me. I'm excited to see each individual player. I've heard great things about Biblical playing very well. I've seen Reverse get a ton of MVPs and play well in the Invis, Juker, Legacy. We've even seen Haluk pop off, Riku, Reverse, a ton of talent. But let's see how they stack up as we head over to Krakoa Map 1.
Map 1, and you mentioned it, Shib. I mean, the parity of Ignite Stage 2 is unparalleled. I think every team has a chance to win no matter what happens, right? It comes down to what we heard in every single interview. The ban phase is a big part of it, right? That sort of has been the storyline, is teams winning and losing in that phase, and it's the best out of 3. So, you know, if you don't figure it out by the end of map 1, you're a little screwed. And at the moment for 100 Thieves, right, they were playing a ton of Torch previously, and I think it's, as NX mentioned, you know, it's like you got to play that triple comp. And 100 Thieves, now they're playing it today. We'll see how they could do versus Extinction, who are running a classic 2-2-2.
Harvey on the Jeff. Millennia is going to be over there on the Ultron, and then the main line. Actually, Delena going to be on the Warlock. I don't think we've seen this combination of strategists virtually at all. It's going to be about a similar composition of the hold your own comp that we saw there earlier. I like the idea of this, similar Sentinels idea, where everyone's kind of be playing their own game, and you've got Delena just holding on to the backline. Delena, obviously, very strong hit scan. Haluk's going to be finding Vinny early here, and that's a nice start here for Extinction on the point. 1 up, but again, not a lot of mainline heals here from 100 Thieves as we lose Millennia to Biblical with some good shots on the high side, looking for an off-angle flank again.
Yeah, it's not exactly what you want to see, is your camp getting picked off first, right? That's a huge pick-off from Extinction, shutting down Vinny, right? Also, we have to bear in mind, I believe Venom is still available, right? And we heard about how good Venom is too. And oh no, Terra goes down first this time. Upcoming Biblical, you talked about him earlier, playing well on Phoenix so far.
And we're going to start again as Juker finds TTK Legacy onto Delena, and at this point they are just walking and keeping these early picks happening. Can't go like this. At this point it is a stagger fest. You're going to have to wait that 3 seconds and start again. Remember, folks, the portals will open up at about 50%, so still not quite there yet to immediately try to find a different angle to make the play. Instead, the team is going to have to drop back together. 40% on and still moving, pulling out some cooldowns, and dropping back goes Cap from Vinny. Terra now going to have that Ultron pocket and is going to be running to Star-Lord to play aggro. Alts are ready ready, and everybody will be pressing Q here shortly as Juker starts walking from TTK. 2 more walking, still keeping the pressure on to the front side. A ton of damage goes out. Terra gonna find one onto Juker now. Still keeping the pressure forward. The dance floor goes out. It's match now. Riku, Biblical. Here comes the damage boost combination. Does it land? Up in the sky we go. It is going to be held instead. Not a ton of combos there. Jeff goes out. Does find one from Harvey, but is not going to be able to hold on long as Riku gets that pick. And again, Extinction still holding on to the point.
Yeah, right now, I mean, okay, eventually Terra will get picked too in this upcoming fight. They do go in with the cap hole. He doesn't get, well, actually gets brought back by that res. Finally able to find one. And Juker in that last fight went a little bit too high up in his shift, right? Resulting in him in the sky getting picked even through Stratus ult. So there's some delay from Huluk. Unfortunately, while he changed forms, you can't contest the points, so he'll be staggered out. And 100 Thieves finally get that fight win that they desperately needed, Shib, off of, you know, an incredible use of ultimates. All of the ults basically popped for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, but if we're both being honest, we know that typically this kind of situation works heavily in the favor of Extinction. I mean, getting to 90% and forcing entire team ults out for 100 Thieves is expected. That is not, you never expect to go 100-0 ever. For the most part, it's about losing to that ult fight you know you would already lose. If you somehow manage to win through it, that's insane, but you got to expect a loss when you're down ults like that. And now you just build ults together, come back in heavy, win the final point, and don't allow them to portal just due to no time available here as the picks come through. It's going to have to force a strategist to switch over whoever falls first as we start once more. Juker getting a few low, very low here. Going to start throwing out those squids, playing that whole composition that we mentioned and just heard from an Exile as being a pretty strong comp despite what is being run. Just that triple strat is just a little bit better in terms of the quote-unquote meta. Millennia going to pop out Rage of Ultron out, keep the team healthy with it, and look backwards after that. Is going to find a luck early, and that's good as Elena gets that pick, and 100 Thieves still holding on here, not committing ultimates is exactly what they need to do. Just allow Terra and Zelena here to get a ton of value in that neutral pick fight and staggering the rest of the team.
Well, it's what you said earlier about, you know, the interesting idea behind this composition, right? Because they don't have like a centralized healer, right? Somebody that you're really having to, you know, focus on with this whale, for example, for Juker. They never really have to hard group up. So it's going to be always a hard whale for him until later on because they're never going to go group up, right? So it's smart from 100 Thieves to constantly take angles, take positions, and really not set up and allow yourselves to get hit by Extinction. But they're saving for one ultimate, one fight. We'll see what happens right now as we start off early with TDK Sonic Seduction.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out. And that's the advantage of this team. And I was excited to see a team like this from Sentinels as well. It's very unique, and it helps the idea of how to handle some of these compositions. It really changes up the pace of the match, and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And here, canceled immediately, kicked into a wall. Legacy was just lights out in that moment. We are going to see the res come through to bring the team back from Zelena. We see Terra walk back in. Vinny gets a pick on Biblical, though. That's another huge pick from Vinny here on the cap. Everybody goes back in. Harvey going to look for an off-angle play, looking for anyone that might be vulnerable. Is finding that invis. Great play by Harvey now, who's just going to keep walking away at the moment, just biding time. Going to try to take the 1v1 into the invis. Juker teleporting back now. 100 Thieves doing the unlikely and bouncing back in this moment and not having to use too much ult, and now it's roughly even. It's all about who can perform right now. Millennia gets the pick on a Legacy. Haluk finding Terra, even these numbers a little bit. It's anyone's fight still as Millennia pops that Rage of Ultron.
Yeah, right now, Huluk has to delay the point, right? Overtime ticks down. They were close to capping it, but no ult just yet. Juker falls low, and we'll go down to Delenya, who you said again. Delena so far on this Adam Warlock, looking about as good as he ever has been on Hela, and they also get that whole cow. Biblical has to touch. This is desperation at the moment.
Wow.
Job done. Round number 1 for 100 Thieves.
Well done, 100 Thieves. Staying calm, cool, and collected in a situation like that, being down at 90% and still maintaining, winning fights without committing ults and just using Rage of Ultron in the second fight. The third fight, nobody ult just due to the fact that they found those picks early. That is textbook how to bounce back from a situation like that. That is highly unlikely at this level. So again, 100 Thieves showing their expertise and their experience at this level.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's impressive for 100 Thieves as well to adapt and change coming into today. You know, understanding what happened potentially yesterday, it wasn't even a loss, right? They only lost a single map, and it was a very close one, but it was also against a pretty solid team. So really what we're kind of learning throughout this tournament is what we were talking about earlier, the parity. Everybody's so good at the current moment. And right now, if you can learn this triple strategist composition and get those characters, the most important ones, out in the ban phase, you can play any iteration of these 3 heroes, Jeff, Ultron, Adam Warlock. In this case, they don't get to play the main healers, but as long as you get one of these 3, you're always going to be good. And instead, they're just trying to play all 3 of those kind of strong off healers, and it's panning out.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great comp for them. Honestly, Delena here on Warlock is a very smart play. A hit scan demon on one of the strategists that has a ton of protection and res, should things go the other way, is a nice change. And in this current meta, it fits his play style perfectly. So great decision there by the team to make that the choice. And up again, Terra going to launch this Galactic Legend early towards the back line. Going to force out some cooldowns as we see a ton being used, but that's exactly what the goal is. Now forwards onto the Hulk, is very low. Good focus by the strategist line of Extinction to keep the team healthy. Terra going to keep that focus on. Spin to win with the blaster barrage. Gets tackled out again, but is going to be, not going to be able to walk back in as Legacy gets that KO early on to Terra. Still, nobody has the point so far. Jeff goes out here for Harvey. Does not make that work, but does use that ult to keep the team healed up. And we are just stalling now, but the problem is no one has point. Legacy on a TTK. Delena going to res back Terra and TTK. Juker on a Delena, which should not be able to be self-res unless that is available. I think it was recently used. Yep, there will not be a res there from my understanding, unless they're still floating around. Vinny going to commit ult, Millennia as well, and there was that res from Delena, as they're back in the fight. So everyone back. Great res there by Delena. Now Millennia gets the pick, and they're up in numbers. That whole thing only buying them about 4%, and now, 100 Thieves had control the whole time. Absolute dominant play here, and way to just understand your limits and not worry about it once you go down.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing for sustain, right? The entire point is not allowing Juker to connect with a single whale. You see, even at the beginning of the fight, you're like, oh man, Harvey just missed a huge itch Jeff. Well, no, because if he shows up, he gets destroyed by Juker. That's why you saw Juker shift and then immediately look for his whale, right? Because he was worried in case that Jeff comes through and tries to eat him. So with that, Harvey just using it to escape, avoid the one shot. Now Juker's off of that Namor. They're switching entirely off of that comp, going to a very similar triple comp. In the mirror, they should theoretically have an advantage, but the point advantage is still for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I think that's a good change. Just maybe is a little bit too late as we're 50% in here on map 2. Terra again with that Galactic Legend. You may be saying, how is that possible to get out that quickly when you have Bond and you're Terra and you know how to aim? You can, and the spin to win. You can get ults with Star-Lord there incredibly fast. Biblical now on an off angle. Juker is going to be found here. Nice ult here by Harvey, who finds 2. Going to use that portal to try to get to the off map if possible. Is going to hold them down low instead and is going to get a pick. Make that 2. Harvey really well played there now. Invis still holding on. Is going to fall now from Terra.
Yeah, you could make it back up, obviously, to there's a little spot off the map, but it's only on the high ground, I believe. Or if you have to break the wall, it's always interesting. But right now, 100 Thieves sitting pretty. I mean, yeah, they have that res ready to go as well, and they've been good with it so far. Millennia also has his ultimate ready to go in case he wants to maybe force out an early invisible boundary. But no, here's the cap ult from Haluk early on just to get to that point, but nothing has been committed just yet until that soul bond comes out.
Yeah, I'm curious if, I believe there's an off map up there, but either way, maybe it is a play to just try to buy a little more time before you get those KOs, and stagger them just a little bit more. There's those small advantages. We're at 99 now for 100 Thieves as they're still holding, looking dominant right now in this matchup. Juker gonna ult up, so is Reverse to hold some space. Terra back, and again, has that Galactic Legend ready. Legacy gonna use the Psionic, which can be a pretty good counter into the Galactic Legend. Instead, he's gonna wait till that is done, and now find a few. Terra gets 1 onto Juker. Do I see 2 on the Biblical? Res comes up for Juker. Will there be a full team res? Spin to win on the back line. Down goes 2 Millennia onto Juker. Down goes the entire team, and 100 Thieves get game 1.
Wow. I mean, maybe we doubted the wrong team coming into today. I mean, 100 Thieves has been one of those squads that always manages to come back, and you can never really count them out, and there you go. You can find out exactly why. Despite how hard their games were previously, this is just a testament to how fast they adapt, right? The big thing is, Terra definitely can maintain his role as one of the best duelists in the game, but that is just one map. We'll see how they can continue moving forward, Shib, but at the current moment, they seem to have the triple comp figured out and played pretty well in that ban phase.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting composition. We've seen a lot today of the Star-Lord solo DPS, right? That seems to be the new wave, and I'm curious to, maybe in the interview we'll have that conversation, but it clearly works because it's all about just getting ult as fast as possible, and that being your source of finding this value. Spinning over the enemy team, playing hyper aggro, using the bond or the shield, depending on if you have Magneto, to play aggro and get those ults, allow your Ultron to do the same thing, and then Jeff do the same thing, and all that pressure, all those ultimates consistently really forces the enemy team to make a decision every time. time of who's got it, who's going to cover it. Is there the ability to cover it? And if you can't, you're doomed. And we really saw 100 Thieves use that to the max potential. So really well played. Terra with 15 finals. We had Delena with 10 on the Warlock, 18-3. Harvey 18-1 there on the Jeff. I mean, the whole line looked great. Vinny 18-1. TTK 22-2. Millennia 19-2. Whole team dominant. Really well played.
Oh, for sure. And I think right now, I mean, every time that Extinction could find a pick, it seems like it was traded instantly, right? And it never was Terra. It never was their duelist. It never was Delena. Right, in the past when Delena is playing a lot of Psylocke or whatever it may be, sometimes he's just having a hard situation on the backside, like we saw with Peter earlier playing that Psylocke against FlyQuest. It's just the meta is shifting, and it already was kind of here, honestly. It's just it was hidden in front of our eyes almost, right? Nobody really wanting to make that full transition into playing every single, map, pretty much playing triple strategist. Now we're there, right? We're entering a phase of the game where it's pretty much the best comp, right? The best strategists are the best duelists right now, and unfortunately, for the side of Extinction, they can't lose another one, right? This would be brutal if on the next map they go for that ban phase again. The Loki ban, I don't think really makes a ton of sense on Krakoa. That maybe needs to get shifted if they want a shot to win. Now that we go to Convoy Convergence, though, we've seen how good Loki players can pop off, but at least on Domination, that ban, I think, doesn't make as much sense to me personally, maybe focusing more on the main healers. But, I mean, 100 Thieves, they're adapting quite well. That was a 2-0 for them, Ship.
And that's the first time I've seen 100 Thieves, really start changing up their comp. They've got a diverse hero pool, and that is a huge win for 100 Thieves, because I think they were starting to be known as like the comps that they ran best, and they were disgusting at them. But teams started to understand what they were going to run and tried to work around that a little bit. And I think maybe that was even why the ban was there for the Loki. But even so, I don't think it's worth it right now, like you're mentioning. But we're looking forward to seeing more of this, and if 100 Thieves can keep this train rolling, or will Extinction bounce back right after this break?
Smoke screen! I'm hunkering down. Judge! Jury! Executioner!
Welcome back. 100 Thieves looking like the team we've all grown to know and love in that matchup. Lights out there, everyone performing. And Extinction, first time, up for, at least for me in my eyes. I want to see them perform. It looks like a team that can get the job done. Just we're not able to figure it out against that comp, man. What do you think they need to do?
Yeah, map number 2, I think adjusting the ban phase. We always know how good TTK is on Emma Frost. I think that didn't slow down, right? That was a big part. I think some teams are even banning Emma Frost first. That's fine. Maybe force them to play that Magneto. Maybe look for those one-shots instead of just consistent outplaying on that Emma. I mean, Legacy was doing a lot too, but yeah, that would be a change for me alongside maybe allowing Loki to go through. I know that character has gotten some nerfs recently and it could be a potential target to avoid. But at the moment, the biggest thing is that 100 Thieves, I mean, their flexibility has been unmatched, I think, in the series. And, Shib, if they were to win today, we both could look like some big old idiots, going for a prediction onto Extinction, as we're both tied up with, I believe, 2 correct predictions today out of the 4?
Yeah, you know what? It's how it is as casters. We just try to keep it entertaining and fun, and sometimes being contrarian and seeing an underdog story is fun to watch, but it's also fun to see a story team like this absolutely fry and go to town. So that was what map 1 looked like, but still plenty of rivals left as we head over to Hall of Djalia, and this will be chosen here by Extinction as their choice of convergence.
All right, both Mantises removed early on. We know how strong that hero can be. Meanwhile, Ultron usually protected, I think, at this phase. Emma Frost, the one that's protected for 100 Thieves, and that makes sense. I think they prioritize that. The Luna Snow ban is interesting because I don't think a lot of teams are necessarily prioritizing that hero. It makes more sense, I think, on Convergence because, it's further away. You're going to be against triple if you're protected on your own. Triple Vanguard, triple Shredder, that is. But yeah, I guess Hall of Djalia as well is not necessarily that map where you can play triple Vanguard, triple Shredder. It's one of the only maps, I believe, that Convergence in general is like that. Usually Convoy's the ones you play the triple Vanguard, triple Shredder comps. But yeah, it's interesting they want to play a little bit more front to back style. Yet again, Invisible Woman banned. Meanwhile, Ultron and Jeff removed already for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and giving TTK that Emma once more. I mean, you see how dominant, again, it goes back to the stat line. Yeah, maybe only 4 finals, but that's not what Emma's doing. Emma's setting up and taking space and owning space and making it terrifying for anyone to walk forward. And that is what TTK was doing while Vinny was messing around with the back line. All the strategists kind of playing their own game and Terra doing the same. So quite a composition. I really do think it's a unique and fun comp to be running, and it's definitely effective, but I think it works as well on this specific mode. I think it isn't horrendous. I do agree with what you're saying. You want it to be more traditional, especially on a convergence instead of convoy. But either way, they could shift up one more duelist and just remove one of the strategists anytime and still have a similar comp and still kind of walk it. And I'm assuming that's what we're going to see here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they go for the full ban of Shreddist yet again. Yeah, I mean, like we see Harvey also hovering on to that Cloak and Dagger instead of the Jeff this time around. But if they do, decide to play this map with the same bands, right? This is the same exact bands we saw the last map. It would make sense if you have to change it up because you generally want Delena on that Adam Warlock like we've seen. Wait, we're not going to Hell's Heaven, right? So thank God we're not going there because that would be crazy regardless today. We're going to Hall of Djalia, so the thing is, you want Delena on Adam Warlock, right? Because that's what you said. That's why you protect it over something like the Jeff. Even though Jeff is arguably better, I think Harvey's flexibility onto whatever it may be support-wise would make sense. And then you kind of just play around that, right? You could swap to that Cloak and Dagger, like you said, instead of playing the Jeff, maybe a bit more freeform, and that allows you to play that front-to-back style if you need to.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you're right. I think that is exactly the play. I think it just bodes well to have Delena have that flex option, who's just always going to be successful on a hit scan strategist where Harvey can virtually play whatever, and Cloak and Dagger are always available as well, and you can pull out that Jeff if need be, but Millennia is going to be on the Jeff instead, and Harvey going to be on that Cloak. Terra is going to now be on Phoenix. A little more of the mainline hit scan out of them as we start once more and begin again. Extinction going to keep holding on with some, everybody kind of in a different angle here. This is definitely a different strategy in terms of defense that we've seen in a little bit, where everybody kind of playing in separate squads of 2 and now dropping on a point to hold on as 100 Thieves commits heavy with Vinny onto the back line.
Yeah, I mean, usually in old metas, that, for example, that Namor that we saw would have got a pick there, and now they're flipped on their head. They have Soul Bond to run forward, force out cooldowns.
Wow.
This is the value of these triple strategist compositions, Chib. It's like Namor, a character that has one of the highest TTKs in the game, literally can't get even a pick. I don't think we've seen this Namor comp succeed at all today, and this is exactly why.
Yeah, and they're just walking again, like we had just mentioned, using a similar comp with a slight change here, just keeping the momentum, having one more focus on the back line with a divey Vanguard, like you see with Vinny here on the Venom, and then more traditional hit scan with Terra. Selena going to be doing that, filling that role as well while still supporting, and then Millennia just going for crazy plays on Jeff, while Harvey mainline feeds, heals, and gets those ults off cooldown. Like, this is a strong attacking comp, very similar to what we saw in Domination, more unique from the day, but still a great decision here. Extinction trying to find their footing, but like you're saying, I'm not sure about the Hulk Namor comp working as well as they'd want it to.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, I think, Nemesis come close when they swapped off the Hulk Namor and went to, I believe, was it like Bucky alongside Magneto or Bucky? Yeah, really anything. The fact, the Namor, I think it's just a bit tough at the current moment. Regardless, 222 is very, very difficult to play. But at the moment, they're willing to play at Extinction R. I mean, they have ultimates available as well as they're poking out Vinny, who was on the Venom instead of the Captain America this time around.
Yeah, Venom does a great job of taking the major height here, like ultimate height, if you will, where you force cooldowns out to even get up there, where Cap, I struggles a little bit with that until you break these walls down, and Venom really good at self-sustain and escape, very similar to Cap, but does have that combination with more damaging ultimates. Here we go, bang, down goes Terra after finding Juker 1, not able to follow up, doesn't get too much, Jeff coming in, and we do see the cooldown pop there, gonna grab one and head up to the high side. Millennia looking for this off map, and they will get invis unless the jump comes back through. It does, spinning to try to find some damage, still gonna be able to hold on. Great jump there. TTK gonna take out Reverse after all that. Unfortunate for Reverse, still being found after the fact. Elena gonna res back up, and the number's still ahead here for 100 Thieves, who are maintaining position with plenty of time on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive that he was able to live, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, they lose Legacy. Now on the objective, Reverse coming in with the invisible boundary. Losing Riku still, though, is awful for them. Biblical has been coming online, though, able to find a pick basically every fight, and finally, they're going to get a fight win.
Biblical definitely looking lights out again with a nice pick there onto Harvey. A ton of damage. We saw Biblical popping off yesterday and still can do the same. It's just about this team getting their confidence back right now. It looks like a very much a one-sided match here. 100 Thieves coming back with a slight ult advantage in this next fight. About, it should be roughly even, as Biblical will have ult as well, but we'll see some more impactful Vanguard ultimates like TTK with the res from Delena, as there's no real answer on the strategist line quite yet. Riku will get there, but it will be later on in the fight, so they have to commit heavy now, if possible, with TTK and try to get them walking, the backline walking. Here we go now as Vinny gonna pop in, burns that Hulk shield. The team knows that, and there's the follow-up, exactly as mentioned, towards the backline. Can it happen? The commitment into the strategist begins now, but not able to get too much here. Juker gonna hold on, is waiting for that whale. Damage boost is out and ready here for Riku. Will that be launched? Gonna potentially use it right up here. Yes, there it is. Damage boost comes in, bang, it lands, and it finds Harvey, and that is a huge pick here for Juker, as was designed by their play. Legacy onto Delena, again onto Vinny, and they are popping now.
Yeah, I mean, Delena went down with ult, man. Delena was ulting, and he got immediately destroyed by Legacy, so that res removed.
Oof, and could not get off the map there. Millennia with a decent idea. Hulk has really no escape, so you can launch Hulk from downtown to get off map. Really has no way of getting back unless has a way of, you know what I mean, using that jump. Needs flooring under him, so very easy to off map if the cooldown of the shield is gone. But wow, what a good play there by Extinction. I mean, 100 Thieves still maintained those ults besides Zelena, who did have to commit in that moment, and Millennia obviously ulted there towards the end, which I'm not 100% sure I am a fan of in that moment. But you have 3 ready here. Haluk will be ready. You'll have Reverse 2 and Legacy, but you need to commit and try to make something happen now before they get all those ults. Vinny, just like that, will do the job. That was insane, and just a ton of damage in a minimal window.
Yeah, nice work from Terra there with some shots in, then gets Riku too. And like you said, the follow-up there by Vinny was massive, who was with the Feast of Bist in the middle of that ultimate, right? Trying to go for that one shot, maybe with Terra, but regardless, they're all low, right? No triple strategist on their side, but they still, are pushing out people off the card. They still, Extinction, being they, has control of that point until now. And Harvey actually got picked off late. This is the problem for 100 Thieves. They randomly keep going down. They randomly keep getting KO'd. Like, for example, in the previous fight, Terra goes down. Delena can't res him, and then, or does have res, doesn't res him to bring him back. But now, with a minute left to go, Extinction have kind of brought themselves back into the series with 100 Thieves having no ultimates.
Yeah, I can't believe they managed to make something happen there, even being down so much. So good focus there by Extinction to make something still happen. We do see Legacy full crystal, 25% HP, gets bopped as soon as that breaks, which is a threat. We see a ton of ults ready again across the board. Biblical ready here. Riku close. That's a nice pick here for Terra onto Juker early on in the fight. Unfortunate for the side of Extinction, who now we will see some ults get popped. Terra with a great escape there is going to avoid Biblical and turn it right back at them. That was insane. Here comes some huge potential out here from Millennia, who is going to find one, going to shoot out the ally towards point and try to get at least Hulk far away from this fight with luck, and that will be downtown. There goes that shield. It doesn't matter. It's all about just buying space, but still, Hulk's going to be able to get back here relatively quickly. We see some commitment from Juker on that shift and no real escape now, and still Hulk is able to get back with, half HP still holding on, so not a bad retake there, and way to jump back on without the team turning around. TTK still going to find Juker early again, and that is another early win for 100 Thieves as they're in OT now. But what a good defensive hold here from Extinction.
Yeah, it's great indeed, but the red's still up for Delena. Overtime now popped, and they're relying heavily on Biblical to find these picks, right? The Terra versus Biblical was an incredible matchup that we saw. High-level Phoenix gameplay on the backside. Emma Frost closes it out, though, with TTK and that silent introduction. But right now, I mean, they're relying heavily on Biblical, right? Juker going down in these fights on the Namor. It's pretty rough, right? I mean, unfortunately, missing the way on the previous fight, then going down, and then in that upcoming fight, same situation. Right now, Extinction do have ultimates, though. Last fight in this area of the map, 1 minute and 13 seconds. They're doing good in terms of the time bank for a team rank 222. But 100 Thieves, it seems like they're trying to figure it out until now. Biblical finds TDK.
And we will begin again with another fight, this time 1 minute on here for point 3 from 100 Thieves. And this is an attackable map. You can, there's some defensible positions, but a lot of the time you see a sweep through and then it gets matched right back. Very much an OT map. This is, in my opinion, the map that you see that the most. And I'm not sure statistically if that's correct, but it sure feels like it now as Biblical takes the high side. Legacy going to take out Terra early on again. And that's what Legacy's been trying to do this whole time. Find those kicks into a wall. Delena going to bring back Terra, though, because the fight must continue now. Ults being popped here just by Delena. Millennia going to be holding on. Vinny as well as Terra's there, but you look at Extinction and there's almost 5 ults ready as Haluk now commits.
It's definitely smart, I think, but look, going down very low, as in fact going to fall before Riku can connect with his Lunar Snow dance floor.
Yeah, I'm not sure the damage moves actually came through. I don't think it did, as it would have gotten more value there. I think it was a little bit too late, but maybe that was just a visual error on my part. We see Juker going to find Terra. Biblical on the Millennia, and that is a good 2-piece. 3-piece as Juker gets another. Now 100 Thieves are on their heels. Not able to touch in this moment. Are able to get 1 foot on, but at this point, OT is ticking. Will the portal come through? I'm not sure it can happen. It might. We don't see a strange change just yet. And we see Vinny now, but it won't matter as the hold is held here before point 3.
To me, it looks like Extinction is one of those teams that, because they're so close to, reaching the top level, and because, this is one of their, biggest tournaments they've ever competed in, they have a great squad. But at the current moment, it does feel like they kind of randomly get picked or whatever it may be from Juker's side, resulting in pretty much just snowballs, right? It seems like the squad may be a little bit nervous, potentially, Shib, right? Coming in versus 100 Thieves. You talked about a storied franchise and how good they've been in Marvel Rivals esports in general, and how good they seem to be rebounding as well, right? This past little bit, we've not heard a lot of great things from 100 Thieves in terms of adapting, but now they're adapting, I think, on this past literal day, and they seem to be playing a lot better, right? Terra finding those pickoffs, actually winning a lot of the times against the Phoenix player who has the Lunar Snowflake, who has Invisible Woman Shield, right? There's so many advantages going in favor of Terra on those duels, and Biblical, like you said, was able to kind of trade it back and forth at times.
Yeah, agreed. And we are going to see a little bit of a duelist change here. I'm not sure if it's going to be consistent. Maybe potentially pulling out the Panther. But again, I do agree. Saw some really good back and forth between the two of them, both of which just demons there on the hit scan. Terra going to be showing ace right now, right back matched by Biblical, who is going to be doing the same 18-4, 16-4, almost the same final hits. Roughly, a little more damage on the Biblical's front just because of more open, venom maybe, just to get some raw damage. But still, these players are just insane. But it's all about the play as a team in the moment. Marvel Rivals is a team-based game through and through. It's very difficult to hard carry in a specific moment, and these teams are seemingly locked in now. Extinction's definitely woke up here on that defense.
And see what happens in this upcoming fight. They're on Loki now. Interesting. You know, they banned up the Loki. They obviously prioritized it instead of the Invisible Woman, you know, meaning no pushes, right? And we talk about how good Invisible Woman is against Groot. They're not going to have that option. But at least, you know, maybe with these clones, maybe with all these squids, it distracts Terra for long enough to find elimination. And there it is. Juker finds the first one.
Yeah, that is a huge early pick here, driven already into that back. I mean, this is an insanely, speedily, take here. This is insanely quick, and they're still holding this space, getting point halfway there. Portal's going to come in from Vinny with a touch, but at that point, you have an Emma ready to grab you, and if the team can focus, you're in trouble, especially with Bond gone. Juker again onto Terra. It's another down. Here comes the touch, but again, driven back just a little bit. Still a ton of space taken by Extinction, and Alts will be in advantage of their side as they found 2 picks early. Juker again with the third find onto Delena, making 4. Delena gonna res back up, but no res completely available at 90%. Millennia, TTK though are gonna find 2 and try to turn this back. And here comes Phoenix with the end song, Inferno, and that does not land. Again, Terra gonna be on the Bucky now, trying to make a play.
Yeah, I think the Bucky switches for that Loki. Reverse finds Vinny, though, and TTK also falls. Delena is going to res them back into it. But they have to touch the point, Shib, and they cannot because they're being resed.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough. I mean, there might have been a touch potential there from Terra on the high side, but in that moment was already just trying to hold on after being just, hard focused there by Legacy on Emma. So tricky position to be in, but again, Extinction showing up in this moment and now pushing the cart with a 4 minutes and 40 on for point 2, but 100 Thieves just have to do exactly what Extinction did to them and buy a ton of time here on point 2.
And Vinny's going to swap over to that Magneto. Maybe to assist Terra a bit more in these duels. Also, maybe to counter out some of these ultimates. Maybe go for one-shots too. I think the big thing, Shib, is that that Loki switch is really forcing 100 Thieves to make changes, right? Swapping Vinny over to that Magneto, swapping over to the Bucky. This is at least forcing a different look at 100 Thieves, which benefits Extinction here. But they have 4 minutes. And also, this is one of the easier fights to hold for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I think Reverse made a big brain play there on that switch. Juker again with an early pick. How many times am I going to say that? That is awesome to see if you're a fan of Extinction, who is now going to find his second here from Haluk. And that is 2. Terra goes up with the reset, looking for clones. Good spin there to focus on a clone. Does get exiled. Still has that reset ready, though. She doesn't tick the timer while you're exiled. Little known back Vinny. You got to find a pick there. Out we go with the Whale. Still holding on. Haluk, though. Make that a 2-piece now. Over here on the Hulk, getting a ton of... Oh, my goodness. Make it 3. Why don't you? 4 here as Harvey falls, and Extinction have the momentum. They are riding the wave like they're surfing, and they are keeping this pressure forward onto the spawn door.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's absolute steamroll towards that third phase. And that's really unfortunate for Terra. I mean, he played about as good as he could have for a Bucky player in that situation. Even find a pick, come back through, deal with that. Consistent damage from that Whale, but Biblical on the flank again. Shows up out of nowhere onto Terra. Headshots back and forth. Terra actually hits those shots, though. Forces Biblical off.
Yeah, and here we go, folks, once more. Again, this is really down to the wire. They did not get much push here on the side of 100 Thieves, so this hold has to be outstanding and very aggressive. That spawn point that usually gives you a large advantage on 3 is completely taken out here, as it's roughly the same distance to point now from where they are. Terra going to find Juker early, and that is the first time we've seen that trade on this attack where Juker's been dominant on that Namor. Here we go with the Psionic onto the backline. Does find a few. Delena going to use that to heal up, though. Very smart decision there. Delena going to be finding one here on the Bucky onto Biblical now, and that's another find onto Riku. Vinny onto Legacy, and they are finding their footing, but is it too late?
We'll find out in a moment. I mean, they're getting these fight wins, string them together, right, is the most important thing. 1, 2 in a row now. Juker, like you mentioned, was getting the better of basically everybody in 100 Thieves with these pickoffs. It's about slowing that down and kind of going back to how it was on your defense, right? Juker was kind of stuffed. He wasn't able to do much, or rather on your offense, whereas Juker wasn't the sort of focal point of this Extinction offense. Right now, kind of goes back on a Biblical, right, to find those pickoffs early. 100 Thieves, though, on their angle, keeping everybody alive, doing a good job. The Strategist Star. Right now, it's avoiding those eliminations from Biblical and also Juker, like you said, who has gotten pickoffs first multiple times.
And notice, folks, if you're climbing ladder, where are they playing? Directly on this right wall. That is that natural cover. They don't need to be peeking and playing out in the open. Why would they? It forces cooldowns out when it's not necessary. Stay on that wall. Make it difficult for them to get poked. and to give ultimates to anyone. So very smart play again, but more traditional at this level of play, just very consistent. Again, early pick there from Terra on the Legacy with a little bit of commitment with the ult. Biblical goes up though, tries to damage boost, hits the sidewall. Juker now throws a lot of commitment for them to not fall here. And everyone on 100 Thieves presses Q. That might be a little too much now, as there's plenty of time on. Vinny gonna find one, Terra finds two, Harvey gets one, but that was 4 ults. That may have been a little bit of a miscommunication.
Could have been, but in this upcoming fight ship, right, the benefit that they have is that, yeah, I mean, we just used also a lot of holds too, right? We use Juker's ult. A big reason why I think it was easy as well for Juker on defense is that this offensive angle is just not good for Namor, right? It's not good for basically all of these heroes that really benefit from, you know, juking back and forth between cover, because these are left-handed peaks. I mean, it doesn't seem like Juker's ever in a good spot. Biblical, though, able to find the one spot where you can get those right-handed peaks, finally open up some space for the team with Haluk coming in on that Hulk.
Yeah, that is a good call out there with the right-hand peak. Oh my goodness, they didn't touch the point. Oh my goodness. Nobody on the point as Extinction just walks this in. Very unlike 100 Thieves to be making that mistake. And we have a 1-1 series, folks. We're going to game 3.
Oh my, game 3. Well, I mean, that also was because of the Hulk, right? You commit the Hulk ultimate, and that's why, you know, when people say Hulk is a bad hero and it's, you know, the Namor that pops off in that comp, I kind of disagree. I mean, Hulk is one of the best disruptors in the game. If, you know, Angela's good at getting hooks, it's kind of the same thing in Hulk. Whenever you're in Hulk form or heroic form, and you're a, you know, your ultimate, you just kind of boop everybody around. It's unfortunate because TDK's team was pushed away from him. TDK was the anchor. Vinny also pushed away. Once TDK goes down, nobody's there to touch the point. So tough map there for 100 Thieves. We're all tied up now, like you mentioned, Shib, 1-1. We're gonna go to a convoy next, so that's going to be interesting considering, I mean, we saw 100 Thieves on convoy eventually close out, but it was a close one for sure, so this should be an interesting map 3.
Yeah, but this map is in their favor. That is something to keep in mind if you are a 100 Thieves fan. But Extinction, that is what you wanted to see from them as a team coming up here in the Ignite series. Stage 2, really well played and clutching up. I mean, that .2 hold was insanely long, especially even in fights where I thought they had lost it. Still able to stall and come back well played. And then just looked unbelievable on the first 2 points. They got through that with, what, almost 5 minutes on. So uncontested. You can't allow that as 100 Thieves. And even though, you know, they did give up there at the moment that little touch to make sure they couldn't hold on, I do think it would have been a totally different game if they could have just held on .2 just a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, a reason why 100 Thieves kept losing too is because, like, that one swap to the Loki seemed like it changed so many different things. Like, it forced Vinny to swap off of the Venom. It forced, you know, Bucky to come out for Delena, or at one point Terra, then to put him back onto Phoenix. So all of those things, it was a sort of like it was an absolute avalanche of changes that came through from 100 Thieves, and none of them really worked out, Shib. So, I mean, that kind of goes to show that even making like one shift could potentially alter the entire timeline, because, I mean, 100 Thieves didn't have an answer, man, and they tried desperately to find one with a bit, maybe too many swaps.
Yeah, I think they started figuring it out on .3 there. It really was working for them. I do think maybe we missed you know, that Hulk all exile. Maybe it did boop a few away, like you're saying, and you can essentially stun lock.
Too, yeah.
You know, yeah, you can essentially stun lock those in front of you. Even, if you're exiling you don't touch point either. I didn't get to witness exactly what happened in that moment or what we may have missed, and just giving them the benefit of the doubt. But, you know, Hulk has that stun lock ability too. You double melee and you hold your jump and you release jump after that double melee, and you can stun and rinse and repeat. And maybe we missed some of that, but either way, really well played on the retake. And we're going to see more of this heading to game 3 of the final series of the night right after this break. And we have a series on our hands. Everyone, Extinction versus 100 Thieves on to game 3. This one, though, in 100 Thieves court with their map decision on Convoy. I'm not 100% sure what they're going to pick, but will this be enough of an advantage to pull it through? What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, 100 Thieves, that last map was kind of brutal, right? If we take a look back at that series, map number 1 was dominant. Now going into that one, I mean, having 2 minutes on that last phase is brutal, I think, as a defensive team. So something is not going right in their defenses at the current moment, Shib. That was my takeaway. We'll see if they can patch up those holes on the upcoming map.
And we're going to see what the changes are here to the bans. Last time it was a little more traditional as to what it was map 1. I'm curious if we're going to maybe potentially get rid of that Hulk Namor situation that has been a bit of a thorn in their side. You know, we talked about how it wasn't getting as much success recently, but it's funny because in that moment, we were seeing a ton of early picks there from Juker, who I do think had the most finals right behind Terra. Terra with 15, Juker with 14, and we saw Biblical with 10, and next closest on 100 Thieves was 7 with Delena and TTK. So a bit of a, just a duelist pop-off there from Extinction with Biblical and Juker, who are looking really good right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want. But the thing we're noticing from, I think, specifically a lot of the top teams is whenever you, by the way, Invisible and First Protect is quite interesting out of 100 Thieves, not protecting the Emma this time around, going for that character. But the big thing we noticed is that, a lot of teams don't get first picked like that, right? That's the big thing, is that when you're, just existing on Triple Strategist, the whole point is not like being able to get picked easily, right? That's like a big part of it. And
you have too many cooldowns.
Yeah, if you're going down that easily, man, it's a little worrisome. Now it's a little bit more open. I think there's less cover on that defensive first point, but yeah, it's pretty rough to lose that first fight so quickly, especially since you need to at least have 1 or 2 good holds, and to lose that first point so quickly kind of was their demise, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the answer is. It might even be like a confidence thing. Map 1, they looked so dominant and confident with a very similar composition. But map 2, I mean, they were playing great for the first point, and as soon as they started losing, it's like they never got it back, right? Like, that momentum shift was never shifted back in their direction. And at this point, if you're a fan of 100 Thieves, you better hope that that shifts once more, because Extinction has not stopped rolling since they started on point 3 of defense.
100 Thieves targeting all of the backline at the moment, and then a Human Torch at the end of it. Like, they ban out Torch on their side because it makes sense. You got Invisible Woman, you got Luna Snow. You banned out Luna Snow last time, so maybe the Torch is not as big of a problem, I think, for Extinction. So maybe that was a bit of a somewhat, I'm not going to say wasted ban, but I don't like it as much, considering I think teams, to make Torch work, I think, without Triple, have relied heavily on having both Invisible Woman and Luna Snow alongside like Ultron and stuff maybe these days. But yeah, it's going to be interesting as the bans and protects come through. 100 Thieves this time do eventually get that Emma Protect.
Yeah, I'm surprised still able to get that through the end. I guess they just aren't prioritizing Vanguards at all over there for the most part, in terms of who they're banning out. So yeah, it's just not, I guess it's just not in their, what they're worried about at the moment. We're going to see Vinny looking like a potential run, and I'm going to go, we're on Yggdrasil again. So yeah, just something a little more divey again, more similar composition to what we saw before, and see if it works for them. It found a ton of success map 1. Millennia going to be back on that Jeff, although we did see Harvey on Jeff in the beginning. I think that Invis likely will be going Harvey's way as we start up here on Yggdrasil.
Headed to Yggdrasil path now for our final map in this upper bracket of the group. And tomorrow, when we start off, when we have the Vicky Kitty and the Cozy come on by, that will be the end of the group nearly. Or at least we get to see the lower brackets, Shib, which is going to be a lot of teams getting sent home. So whoever loses today gets sent to the loser brackets, and don't want to be there. Only Extinction with only 9% fan vote is quite interesting, considering how close this series thing has been after that last map. And now we're headed to the Digital Path for this final map.
Yeah, you and I both had this series going to game 3 in our predictions either way, knowing that these teams can, get the job done in these pressure moments. We wanted to make sure Extinction had what it takes, and it looks like they do there on point 2, or map 2. It sure looked like it, at least. As we start off this hold now, 100 Thieves is not going to be running that triple composition, Extinction excuse me, I guess I missed the loop there. My fault, as they are holding tight. Vinny gonna find a pick there, and Delena and TTK immediately get one each. Juker gonna res back Riku, though, as they're trying to retake the touch. The hold not working as much, but Biblical gets the pick there on Terra, and I might have spoke a little too soon as they're continuing to walk forward. 100 Thieves not doing what we normally see here against Triple with those damage boost storm compositions. Instead, gonna be running what they have been running, and it doesn't matter because it clearly is working as Vinny, TTK, and Harvey get another. And this time they're just kind of scouting here with Strange, likely going to hold tight once those reses get closer on this ramp. So we'll see here shortly.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, that comp was not played well at all from Extinctions, right? They split up Juker in the backline. We've seen teams before send their thing player to run back and peel for the strategist. This time around, reverse finds TTK first, though, and that should enable them. But here's a huge Jeff ult ready to go for Millennia.
And they find one. Millennia's going to get that Strange. Is that going to be worth it? With the cooldown still there? Likely still there. Going to instead bring them into the spawn. Tried to at least. Good idea. Going to keep that focus up and try to burn Strange. Now Legacy is taking the high side. Going to get, good movement there. The cooldown using, a great kick and smart play there by TTK. Still, though, holding on here. Legacy trying to get that cooldown back, but this might have been just too much time. But a lot of commitment here from 100 Thieves even to find that pick. So was it worth it? It might have been. Biblical goes up with the meteor rem. 95 charge. It does break. I thought that might be able to get off there with a ton of damage, but no, is broken in the sky. Vinny gonna find reverse TTK out of Biblical, and Vinny again, who is just popping off here on another pick. And Alu goes down. So does Juker. And 100 Thieves are walking. I'm curious. They don't seem to need. They're just running more traditional comps into triple, which I honestly haven't seen had success. So I'm curious on their take on that.
I mean, it's because Extinction is really bad at triple Vanguard. It's just that's what it is. Like straight up, like they did not play that well at all, right? We've seen earlier fundamentally how to play the comp. You know, Envy and FlyQuest, I think, did it great. You know, we saw every strategist player play in the same room together. Then they send the Thing player back to peel, right? That was the simple fix. When you're split up and you send your Rocket Raccoon player in a different direction, you end up losing. And, you know, it was just too easy for 100 Thieves to walk on the rest of the core when they're missing their Rocket player.
Yeah, good call there. Good call out again as we start once more. Legacy trying to hold that space, but just too much pressure here. Ult advantage on the side of Extinction with Hulk, and there it is. Hulk is going to try to make a big play. Reverse going to also launch and just use that a little more aggressively here, not to cancel any ults, but to ensure there is a pick as Delena goes down. A look onto Vinny and Biblical onto Terra, and that's a few picks there, but they did have to commit a few ults, and still 100 Thieves is slightly down an ult advantage, but that will be changed here in the middle of this next fight. 3 ready for Extinction, almost the entire team ready for 100 Thieves.
And this is the strength of Extinction, right? Running this Namor Hulk, like you mentioned earlier, this is what they're best at. 100 Thieves adjustment, put Terra on the Bucky, right? Keep him on that hero, and then with Vinny, trying to set up these dives, right? Theoretically, we've seen this comp actually counter the Namor comps earlier, but 100 Thieves, we'll see how they can play against it as Juker is forced to use his shift incredibly early.
And we'll start again as 100 Thieves going to initiate here with TTK. Match right back. Psionic Seduction on both sides, but who gets seduced? Out goes an ult from Millennia and Juker, who's going to find Harvey in, was that ult? But no, Harvey had not ulted yet, excuse me. Terra with a 2-piece. Delena going to find, and res back Harvey, excuse me. That's a huge ult from Millennia, who finds 2 and almost 3. Really well done there, as Delena is going to res back the rest of the team, and they keep walking. 2 minutes 30 on here for 100 Thieves. Great set of plays there.
You know, unfortunately for Extinction in that last fight, I mean, Juker used his whale, only getting 1 elimination is not enough, right? He needed to save that for either the Jeff, or they needed to play around that, because Millennia took the Endsong Inferno, but that's not enough to get rid of Jeff.
Yeah, you need some sort of boost, or you need to be fully locked in on Jeff in that moment, and Millennia just getting so much value. You can't express it enough. One ult being able to do that is just so huge, even through strategist ults if need be. Is Biblical going to start spinning to win in an immediate 1v1 battle here? Vinny trying to commit heavy. It is very close. 30 HP. Oh my goodness, that was insane. Back and forth, coming back to the team. Full HP now. Terra going to try to take the height, likely on the off-angle side. Millennia building towards that ult, and this is looking more and more in 100 Thieves' favor on this point as TTK gets another pick here. And if you get driven back into this corner, this is Jeff's specialty. This is exactly where Jeff wants you to be, and that is a huge play again by 100 Thieves, who have done this before, though. They need to clinch up point 3, and Extinction cannot hold them if they want this W.
Yeah, they need to play heavily around the Jeff a little bit more, right? Making sure Vinny's life is also uncomfortable is the way forward for Extinction. But for 100 Thieves on their side, right, they just have to keep doing what they're doing, right? Really just forcing out bad whales out of Juker, right? Setting up Terra and Terra having big crack and impacts. That's the way forward for 100 Thieves to continue on their dominance, and also setting up TTK with these Sonic Seductions early. Every time he seems like he has a big one, and waiting for shields to remove early is him, and he's actually stunned for now, slowed down, but they're totally fine to play this patiently.
Yeah, I want to show some love here to Vinny, and I've seen a lot of success here from this Venom from Vinny tonight. I'm not going to lie, just really putting in some solid work on the back line and just committing heavy. I mean, we saw that pick there in a biblical. That was a crazy battle in and of itself, but a lot of value in these early picks and strategist finds in the neutral. We've seen that multiple times now, so well done, Vinny, again, and restart again as Millennia goes under, looking for a big ult opportunity. Going to use this height to instead get ults without them being able to see where Jeff is, but focus was there, and the double ult, this biblical was just waiting for that, and the luck was ready as well.
That was smart from them to avoid it. Yeah, Terra starts it off. Doesn't get the reset though, Shiv. Oh no.
No reset at all, and we do see ults pop though in an immediate Harvey gonna stop that. We do see another whale that doesn't find too much value. Riku gonna bring out the dance floor. Everybody popping ults now, nothing available. This is a heavily neutral fight until TTK comes in here with the Psionic, which could be massive into this comp with very little shields.
Could be massive indeed. Oh my goodness, the focus fire, the healing from Delena was huge. Able to pick down Biblical. Legacy's falling, and this is exactly what 100 Thieves needed. Able to get on through, right? They sure didn't get the Jeff ult up, but you took the Ensong Inferno. You also eventually, like you mentioned, didn't find value to the whale on Extinction side, and with that, I mean, this just should be a spawn camp at this point. 100 Thieves with 2 meters to go. They
just dominated that. Yeah, that was fluid. That was beautiful, like you're saying. I mean, everything just kind of worked exactly as they designed, and 4 staggers to the end. There's just nothing they can do about it. Nothing you can do. Really well done, 100 Thieves.
And now they move over back and switch sides. Right now they're going to defense this time around, or Extinction, you know, for their side, I think it's just tough because, you know, they were able to counter out that, you know, that Jeff eventually, but the overwhelming damage from both Delena and Terra was too much to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, this is what they're playing what they want to play and how they want to play it at this moment. We might see the triple comp here from the side of 100 Thieves. Obviously, Terra showcasing the different Vanguard possibilities. Is going to be running the Vanguard while the rest stay on that strategist line. We're going to see how Extinction elects to attack through that, because that has been just the thought process of various teams have had different strategies, right? We saw earlier Rad with that damage boost Moon Knight with the Storm. We've seen a more traditional comp like we witnessed a few minutes ago from 100 Thieves. We've seen Punisher combinations with Storm. It's really up for debate, but at this moment, it looks like no real change in composition, and that may be the fault of Extinction at this point, depending on how it looks here. It seems like that comp is their bread and butter, and as I say that, we see the Storm come up.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we go, the Storm coming out. Going to be similar to the comps we've seen earlier. And like you said, I mean, we saw the FlyQuest in overtime versus the triple Vanguard composition cap out, and it was just an absolute grind, a slog, if not one of the most interesting matches of all time. It's got to be one of the most exciting for sure. If you missed that in the VOD, go check it out. But in this fight, Extinction's going to that traditional comp you mentioned earlier with the Moon Knight and the Storm.
And we will begin again, folks. Biblical here on that Storm. Damage boosting everyone. Delena going to find a pick onto Legacy. Vinny onto reverse. Vinny also a very strong Thing. Thing has been, you know, in contention for the meta, kind of been in and out, just more so played on specific maps and very much played on triple comps like this. That damage reduction, 25%, can very much help a Vanguard in the front line who is soaking a ton of damage, while your strategists essentially just get Qs for days. But look now, Juker is on that Moon Knight, ready to launch ult already, and that is the advantage to Moon Knight in these comps.
Yeah, playing together. We also bear in mind in that series earlier, we didn't see Groot, I think, on the side of FlyQuest because he was banned out. So much damage coming through, but it's just healed up instantly by FlyQuest or by 100 Thieves. Incoming invisible boundary by Harvey. Might be met by that friendly prison in a moment, though, Ship.
Yeah, and Juker with a nice ult there on Harvey, or a nice KO there. Terra going to find Juker, and that's a huge Groot hog. Will it find value? It does. Riku going to take out Vinny. Ults get popped on the side of Extinction. 100 Thieves with a res comes through from Delena, and it is huge as the team just goes right back to the point, playing hyper aggressive, no reason not to. And there is a huge walk now. Sonic Seduction by TTK. So much back and forth. Riku with a 2-piece now. Make it 3, why don't ya? As the whole team falls, we will likely see a portal back on that ramp, just like we saw from Extinction.
Yeah, more than likely. And I think a big way forward for 100 Thieves there is they could have won that fight if, you know, it just literally Terra hits a single Meteor M, right? That's a lot of the ways forward for a lot of these teams playing triple Vanguard, triple strategy comps is you hit a huge Meteor M, you get the one shot and you end the fight. But in that fight, fortunately, doesn't have it fully charged, doesn't get the connection.
And here comes the Hurricane. Perfect timing for that. Legacy going to try to make that a little more easy by forcing the team to walk. Great understanding of position there by Biblical, who's ready for Millennia on a crazy off angle. Out goes clobbering time. And that doesn't get much value as Legacy still gets the pick on TTK there. Vinny low. Biblical going to take out Terra and Vinny. Nobody falls on the side of Extinction as they are continuing the pace forward. And will this happen again, folks? Will they proceed to start their aggression after being down a fair amount?
Switching back to that more traditional triple strategist composition with the Jeff. 4 on cart though, and they get it in a moment. There it is. We go to the second phase of the map and switching off it. Both teams, I think, Shib, honestly, kind of struggle to play that triple strategist, triple Vanguard composition. Not really versing that comp, maybe. Both squads, but right now, we're switching over to more comp that the 100 Thieves have been playing. Extinction, though, 4 minutes in that second phase of the map, and they have to go over to that Bucky now.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, a lot of the time you run on those triple comps, you want your duelist on something like Groot, and, you know, who can play, or even Strange, who can play a little, or you don't want Strange, you do Strange teleport after, but Magneto, who can play a little more aggro and just all about hitting those shots, and instead you have your Vanguards and something like Thing just to play a little more of the beefy role and understand how to really cycle those cooldowns, and it's tricky to make those switches and try to have that comp ready. As you see 100 Thieves now turning this right back, only committing Harvey there to win that fight. Riku will be ready with next fight, and we saw Reverse and Haluk commit in that moment, I believe. We'd have to see if Hulk was used after we see this transition here, and it was used. Okay, so yeah, again, 100 Thieves are really not committing too much, and winning that fight is exactly what you need from a defensive side of 100 Thieves. Stay calm, cool, and collected on this hold and try to buy as much time as possible, knowing how hard it is to push at that very end of point 2.
And it's difficult, and now here comes that second introduction. On the backside, everybody's sort of avoiding the damage. Terra actually forced through the Endsong Inferno, but TK eventually finds Juker regardless, and Riku soon to fall. Nice job by 100 Thieves to win that fight. Back to the spawn they go.
Yeah, and TTK with a 3-piece there, following up from that Endsong Inferno. You know, TTK just absolutely another one of those Emma demons that is just, if you know, you see that, and it's a big fear, allowing it through a lot of these every single map so far. But yeah, we are going to see this proceed once more. Same story as, again, 100 Thieves is up and alt. It will slightly change here in a brief moment as Juker will be there, but almost falls. Gets to about 5 HP prior to launching those cooldowns. And instead, Terra is going to try to find an off angle onto the backline, looking for a whole new play here as the point isn't moving at all.
And they've rotated around the map. I mean, there's a Jeff going for the eat, obviously, but knows he can get one shot, so doesn't want to connect on anybody. TTK able to find Juker in the meanwhile, and that Jeff was just more of a distraction rather than actually trying to capitalize, as really Endsong Inferno burned. Also, no ultimate yet for Juker is great for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, that might even have been a repositioning once they saw how huge and dangerous that play would have been into a Hulk who likely still has that cooldown of the shield to keep everyone healthy from the Jeff. It's almost an, you know, an immediate, like, you're just going to KO yourself in that moment. Biblical going to find Terra, though. You actually use it to reposition and try to just use your water down that alleyway to deal a ton of damage and get another ult quickly. Biblical onto TTK. Millennia going to find Legacy. Delena, though, going to res everyone back, or at least TTK in this moment until they can walk forward more. Terra going to come in with the end song. Vinny going to use another ult, and here goes a big whale. This time it does land and finds Selena. Out goes a invisible boundary, maybe just a little bit too late, and does go outside of that. Oh no, just on the very ends of it here. Still holding as Juker finds Harvey. Delena is going to res back, self-res there. Terra playing aggro, just trying to get onto the point to buy more time. Only a minute on right now for them at this moment.
A minute on. It's been a pretty solid hold, I think, for 100 Thieves, Shib. At the moment, they're just kind of forced off. Extinction, that is, and they used that Hulk in the last, or that Namor ult in the last fight, like you said, the Horde Proteus, but he's able to build it up again, nearly 60% on the board. At the moment, I mean, right now, Millennia also has the ult. Let's see what he wants to do with it. They kind of do a lot, like you said, with TTK, able to find multiple kills or KOs by himself, basically. With the team support on the backside, this could look good for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, we will begin once more. TTK, this trance, this could be huge, actually, if you use this to help with your Jeff a little bit and just try to sweep that entire backline prior to them being able to use anything. Biblical ready here with the Endsong Inferno could help cancel Millennia, but it's all about focus now. There's no real shield to protect Millennia. There's no bubble here from a Magneto, for example, as here goes the play from Millennia. Will it be huge? It does find one of each, and matched right back by Biblical as predicted to drop Millennia with some focus. Whale goes out, lands on TTK, who is low. Legacy finds Harvey. Will they keep this momentum right back at him? TTK trying to deal some damage, but Legacy with a two-piece. Biblical now on a TTK. The portal's got to come through quickly, or they are doomed. Vinny not able to come up from that feast, and every Alka's committed here by 100 Thieves. Just no real structure as Extinction is walking through point 2, and it looks like they will get it. They do.
Yeah, clean performance right there from Extinction. And, you know, I almost wish Millennia did what he did earlier, right? You know, not committing the ult on that main side, just able to fall back, you know, maybe live. But Biblical was there with the Unsung Inferno, like you mentioned, Shib, and it was over. So right now, 100 Thieves moved to the third phase of the map. They have Res ready to go as well. Extinction, I think last time they had this dance floor, they were able to get the W. But regardless, you know, they only have a few fights left, Shib, and every single time, 100 Thieves, like you mentioned, no structure towards the very end, but you're getting very, very close for Extinction. You know, the pressure might be mounting.
Yeah, it's all about clutching up now. It's the clutch gene. That's all that it is in this moment, as 100 Thieves do have a slight alt advantage now that Extinction is fully committed, but it's a dangerous position to be in. Here is the backline is fully walking, but no full commitment. Is a little too far away from card. They still got to play card. 43 seconds, folks. Remember, 100 Thieves still, no matter what, will have time advantage, but that's not enough of a peace of mind for you to stop making big plays here. Try to go after all with the frame from Hulk was insane by Halak, who just pops off. Now Juker makes the play through Terra. This could be enough now, as Extinction wants this to keep going. Delena with a huge res on a Terra. Harvey falls, will likely be res as well. Delena comes, or brings Harvey back exactly as predicted. The whole team still going to be holding this battle as anyone's game right now. TTK with a huge trance opportunity is able Terra to find one on Juker. Numbers now in their favor, and here comes the Kraken impact on the sky. One, do I see two? One of the Hulk now is it gonna fall. Now looking towards the strategist. Bang! Terra pops up like Terra does. Make it a quad. Why not show me 5? That is absolutely beautiful as they sweep them all and take home this W.
Huge game from 100 Thieves. Makeup game for sure. They've had some really, really tough matchups, but they're able to pull out regardless. 100 Thieves, 2-1 win to Extinction. They are now in the playoff ship past the group stages. Huge work from them to get the W. Huge transition as well to play triple Vanguard, or triple Strategist. It's just really working out for them at the current moment. TDK on Emma Frost is a big reason why. And the rest of the squad get it done. And it was what a classic way to do it too, Shib, like you mentioned, man. And get to see the Bucky on Terra once more.
Yeah, I mean, a great way to go down with a quadra into, I believe, a penta at the very end there, finding 11 finals total. But big love to TTK with 18 in that matchup. Definitely doing some serious work, a well-deserved MVP. We talk about how potentially one of the best Emmas, if not, you know, in the conversation for the best Emma in the game right now. Just dominant for us. 39-6, 18 finals, 28k damage. Well played. And again, showed some love to Vinny on that off angle. Got to make sure I'm looking back at the back line with those strategists, Harvey, Millennia, and Delena. Delena with a huge res at the end, likely game winning.
I just, going back to the draft phase, I just can't agree not playing this comp, right? I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, right now, Jeff, Adam Warlock, Ultron, Mantis, whoever you want to call out, if as long as you play like a triple strategist composition, it's going to work out most of the time. I mean, we only saw, I think, one map win for this name war comp today, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I could easily be mistaken, Shib, but I think that this comp, it might be dead. You know, it might be on to the new meta, which is this for like any form of triple strategist. Honestly, like it all sort of just works. And if you're not playing it, you're kind of trolling. If I'm going to be real, it's just kind of hard to play against.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised, and this is a question I'm curious, depending on who we get from 100 Thieves, they were running, at one point they had Jeff, Adam, and then they had Invid, or I think it was Jeff, Adam, and another...
An Ultron, yeah.
Yeah, Ultron, and that is, to me, like, that's a very difficult, you know, it's a very unique composition. We haven't seen that yet. Usually you see a variation of, you know, one of those three. Running all three of them at the same time as your strategist and finding success is really unique. I'm curious as to the take is when that's the most successful. Again, you're looking at Terra there, just walking the rest of the team at the end, exactly as a storybook finish would show. But again, big love to the Vanguard line, who looked really good on the stat line there.
And yeah, and we didn't really see like the team of Extinction, you know, focus on that at all. They just banned out main healers, right? Generally. And they never touched, for example, Delena on the Adam Warlock. I mean, that was a big reason why they were able to win that last map. We were having, you know, you put Terra over to the Bucky. That was their adjustment. They didn't panic on that map. They stopped getting picked early to Juker. and then it turns out that's enough to win, right? So I don't think Extinction's ban phase was good at all, and I think because of it, 100 Thieves get that last win and are obviously still a great team moving forward. I think it bodes well for them to be able to pick up this comp, but I think the moment that they're forced to play Adam Warlock, or not play Adam Warlock, I'd be curious to see how 100 Thieves does, because Delena looked amazing whenever he got to play that hero.
Yeah, I'm curious as to when. I agree. I think that is something we haven't seen in any of these stages of Ignite yet. I think that hero makes perfect sense for me as to Delena, and it also changes up the whole idea of this composition, because Millennia has been playing that strategist role. Harvey is obviously really good as well, and then you could also essentially, you know what I mean. And now that you have a duelist on one of those roles that is, you know, on those heroes that really performs from being a good duelist, it just makes so much sense to me, especially one like Delena, who's been known as being a hit scan demon. It's a puzzle piece that fits to me, and it looked so successful today that I think that maybe is a target in the future for a potential ban opportunity. I think there's, you know, they were doing some crazy stuff on those strategist lines, but it was working out for them. So again, congrats to 100 Thieves showing their stature as one of these OG teams and performing very well.
Yeah, they got to keep adapting. They got to keep getting better. And I think this team, if any team could do it, if any team that seems to always perform and overperform whenever, you know, people will doubt them, it's definitely one of those squads that can always, like you said, play up to competition. This team is always going to be in it no matter what. And to be in the playoffs already is huge, right out of this group too. So for 100 Thieves, they get more time to refocus. And, you know, you still have to play your upper bracket match. You still have to, if you get sent down to the lower brackets or play in that grand finals through the upper bracket, have to play again. But yeah, at the moment, man, let's go take a look back at the day. Sentinels versus 100 Thieves will be that upper bracket matchup in the final ship, the classic match. It seems like it was written in the fortune.
Yeah, as is written right here. I mean, it's just such a lore standpoint here for Group V to see Sentinels 100 Thieves, even despite the change in composition there, or in terms of team for Sentinels. Still, it's just, what do you know? It's just so classic. Sentinels taking 2 on today, 2-0 into Nemesis, looked much better today, in my opinion. Looked so fluid with some crazy plays. And Extinction versus 100 Thieves. Extinction looked like a real team to be, you know, mess with here. We're going to find out who they play as we look into these lower bracket games tomorrow with YFPDZ versus BAWA win with Busy at Work and Alani win. I mean, there's going to be a lot of really fun games tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow we got to tune in, man. Like, I got to be watching those games because, I don't know who's going to win. Like, YFP actually look good versus Sentinels, and then, you know, Busy at Work got 2-0 by Extinction, who also, you know, just took 100 Thieves to 3 maps, and they got 2-0'd in their side. So that'll be fun to see. Meanwhile, on Group A, you know, we got Kiri versus Fire. That's a matchup we get to see maybe if Rad actually get to play against Fire like their, you know, coach said. And then also we get Odyssey versus Intergalactic. I think Intergalactic's had a tough run in it, man. It feels like it's not the same X-Shroud X that was really damn good. So unfortunate for them to be able to fall down to the lower brackets against Odyssey of all teams.
Yeah, I just think it's a confidence thing. I know the team can do it. They've got a ton of talent. I mean, we've seen that team succeed in the past, and we've seen them perform well even now. But unfortunately, I just think it's a little bit of a, you know, a newer composition together, but also more so just a lack maybe of confidence in the moment. But we will see if they can bounce back against Odyssey. A lot of those lower bracket games tomorrow, folks. Remember, be here simply due to the fact that some of these teams are going to be removed from the tournament tomorrow. That starts tomorrow. That is insane to think about here in stage 2 of Ignite. We're already at that point. Week 1, man. I'm nervous for them, and I'm not even playing. It's you know, you grow to love these teams. I love, you know, being a part of this scene, and I'm sure a lot of the fans are on their toes ready for those matchups.
Yeah, and that'll be tomorrow at, I believe, was it 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST as we go live with Cozy and Vicky Kitty. So, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. I mean, teams going home, not fun for them, obviously, but fun for us and enjoyers of high octane, high pressure games, because tomorrow's going to be all of the pressure, man. 250K on the line. You got to match up to the expectations for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talk about stress. I mean, you talk about the 250K, and that is absolutely no joke. And just worth mentioning again, you got to remember, everybody has their eyes on that World's Finals coming up here in Atlanta. That, if you haven't seen the hype trail, check that out. And now we've got Millennia. What's going on, brother? You got to be feeling good after that win.
Yeah, feeling good.
Nice. And Millennia, obviously for you guys, I know it's late, first of all, to an incredibly long series. Same thing with the first one you guys played too in your quarterfinals. I mean, what's it like for you as well to come back into the lineup again with 100 Thieves and get a huge win, disqualify for the playoffs already?
I mean, yeah, obviously it's huge. I mean, I love the fact that I'm able to play with it, support or DPS. I just love playing. So yeah, it's been a real blast.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I mean, you're performing on that strategist role, coming from the duelist role is it's a huge change and a mentality change, but we've seen some success, some huge alts too from you. Just more specifically, a question for you. I saw Harvey was also on that Jeff, and then you were on the Jeff. How does that work between the two of you? Both of you clearly seem confident. Is that just depending on how you're feeling in the moment?
Well, I mean, since I'm, I guess, the DPS player, when we're playing more Jeff-centered comps where it's more of we're all taking off angles and I'll be playing the Jeff, but if it's a more front-to-back kind of support play style of Jeff, then it's basically the play styles, and I can play like on Ultron or something that Harvey doesn't feel comfortable playing, so we just put him on the role where it's just basically not the easiest, but like it's the actual support, whereas I'm playing the DPS support.
Sure, that makes sense.
So that actually walk with my team and stuff.
No, that's a good call, because we saw you guys running like a more obscure strategist comp. You had Ultron, Jeff. Yeah, I mean, like that was we've never seen and Warlock a full commitment on maybe those more traditional triple strategist plays that you'd see. Instead, all three were at once, and it found success. So, props to you guys doing that.
Yeah.
What was the idea behind that? I mean,
Reds.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Basically, just EU Red or Navi now. It's taking basically a direct play call from them. We've seen what they're doing, and me personally, I don't know about the rest of my team, but I love the way they play the game. So being able to kind of mimic that is really valid.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they definitely play in a very unique way. I know that they think about it a lot for sure. And for you guys, I think I don't know how much, Millennia, how often are you like on social media and stuff, or in general as a player? I know it's sometimes difficult to be on social media and pay attention to what people are saying, but have you been on social media much lately at all, or not?
I mean, yeah, about as much as probably one of you guys, man. On Twitter,
it's the typical.
I watch the games.
On that, I think a lot of fans, I think, are curious what's going on with 100 Thieves. I know you guys are adapting really quickly to change back now over to playing these triple strategist comps. I mean, what would you have to say to people on social media who are maybe Sentinels fans, or somebody who is a 100 Thieves hater? What would you potentially say in rebuttal to that as you guys rack it off another win and now qualify for the playoffs?
I mean, bro, we just try to stay as honest as possible, play 2-2-2, but if everyone wants to run this cornball moron comp and brain dead easy comp, then we can just play it too, bro. As simple as that.
It's so funny, man. I mean, speaking of the Sentinels, you guys are coming up here. It's going to be 100 T Sentinels, like a storybooks had written. Curious about your take on that. You feeling confident?
Yeah, I'm confident. I think we're only getting better at this strategist comp, so I think we'll be able to take it this time.
Beautiful.
For sure. And Millennia, any last thing you want to say, man? Any shout outs to 100 Thieves or your team or you yourself or something? You want to shout anything out before we let you go?
I mean, shout out my team, man. They're all great.
Awesome. We appreciate you jumping on. I know it can be tough. So thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good one, buddy. All right, you heard it here. They're feeling more confident going in to Sentinels coming up here for the bracket finals. It's just so funny how it always seems to work out like that. But again, really strong play, unique play. I liked what they were doing with that triple com, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. They were looking good, and like Millennia said, I mean, they're only getting better at it.